Hey guys, it's Angel624 here. Gonna do a bit of a side video about wrestling because it's been on my mind and I really need to get it out. Alright, most of my videos are unscripted, so I just like to point that out that this is just a lot of stuff that's coming out of my head and that I'm thinking of. You know, I think about it now after watching a few shoot promos back cut in the 90s and the 2000s. Most importantly, now CM Punk's now new work shoot promo which we'll get to later. Joey Styles shoot promo that he did before he quit the company in 2006, 2007, and the Paul Heyman promo at the end of the Attitude Era. And I think about these, and I started watching wrestling in 1997 when Taker was, still he was the dead man character. Austin was starting to feud with Vince McMahon, and Mick Foley was dressed in the brown attire of Mankind, and Hunter Hearst Helmsley was the Greenwich Blue Blood, or the Connecticut Blue Blood, or whatever the hell it was. And I think about it. Now, the Attitude Era, as it would be called the next year, really Vince started to make, he started to seem like it wasn't called wrestling anymore. It was called sports entertainment. He had always started to make it out being like that once Hogan left the company in '94, where it had gone from a wrestling company to really goofy gimmicks and stuff. And when, those middle years of '95 and '96. But, the more I think about it, Vince really, really, really made wrestling a dirty word. And I really think about it. And, although, a lot of things happened and, a lot of, situations occurred where he covered it up very well, though, with the Attitude Era, with the blood, that good wrestling, quality wrestling, and just great characters, better characters, wonderful characters. But he covered it up. And the more I think about it, he really, really did steal a lot of ideas from Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman was the executive producer of the company and really became the mainstay guy, the head guy, the booker, the everything once Tom Gordon had left the company. And he'd always been the guy. He'd been the creative force. And and now being older and understanding everything, Paul really, really got robbed. I mean, and this is not what this video is about, but I just think about it that way because he really, 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 all of the ideas that man had, it got taken away from him, and it's sad. And the more I think about it, it's just the way it goes, I guess. And you know, um, it's just sad that Vince stole all those ideas, and nobody can deny it. I mean, if you're willing to look me straight in the face and say Vince came up with all those ideas, you can't say that because ECW didn't have the same platform. But that's not the point of this video. I watched those three shoot promos, and Heyman's was the most moving. And it really, 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 you got to think about it when he cut that promo. He cut that promo during the Invasion storyline. The Invasion storyline was done terribly. That promo really didn't get the notoriety that it probably should have deserved, and it should have gotten so much more, and it was worked so poorly. Paul literally just cut the promo that I think he was waiting for, and he even said it too. It was one of the best work shoot promos ever, of the decade probably. He worked it so well, but he worked it with the storyline, and that's the worst thing is that the way it ended really, really killed Paul, murdered Paul. I mean, like really, because he just cut a 10-minute promo that working the storyline, but also a lot of real feelings. And I feel like I look at that, and then I look at Paul years later with the reoccurrence of ECW when he thought that maybe now his dream can become a reality. He can get it on mainstay television. He can have the violence, the blood, but to also showcase the wrestlers. But he was tricked. Vince bought the company, had all the rights. Where's Paul go? He's taking it up the ass from Vince, and his product went down the tube. There's another promo that I'm going to talk about the one where he cut on his last night in the company with Big Show, and a Big Show job to Lashley, and that was a lot of feelings I think he was having. He had seen that you take a guy like Paul Wright, Big Show, who has been around the wrestling scene since WCW in the late 90s, 97, 96, 97, and he jobbed to a guy that has no mic skills, just looks like a Marine. He was upset about that, but he was also upset about the fact that Vince had taken his dream and turned it into that dirty word. Basically, he had turned the wrestling that Paul had dreamed of what he wanted, and turned it into sports entertainment. Crappy gimmicks, not enough airtime, no violence, nothing. He turned Paul's wrestling dream into a dirty word. Joey Styles cut another beautiful promo, saying he got bumped so many times from pay-per-views, and people put the expectations on him to be Jim Ross, who I will not dish Jim Ross. Jim Ross is the guy that I don't know if anyone that can call a match like Jim Ross. But a lot of people were comparing or making these comparisons that weren't right from Jim Ross to Joey Styles. Two different styles of people. Jim Ross can make a bad match, look good, regardless if it's wrestling or sports entertainment. But Joey had to do everything on his own. So when you take all of that, and he gets bumped from WrestleMania because he's not like Jim Ross. He gets bumped from Backlash because he's not like Jim Ross. He has to deal with the crappy gimmicks that they threw him in. He had enough, and he left. And he said he was tired of Vince and tired of everything. And a lot of people are tired of Vince. Vince McMahon's lost his mind, but that's regardless. The last promo is the CM Punk promo. Punk is a guy that I truthfully respect, has seen him in the indie scenes, TNA, Ring of Honor. And he took in the ass too. Since 06, when ECW came to be. Since early 06. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 5 years. 5 years of mainstay television time, of getting a belt robbed from him, getting thrown into crappy storylines, crappy dialogue, nothing real. He's tired of it. Now, the debate is, was it worked? Was it scripted? Was it convenient? We all know that people don't like Vince McMahon. Punk is probably one of them. But the conveniences of it is that it's a work shoot promo. You can tell by all the signs, the mic getting cut too conveniently at the end. It could have been cut at any time. But the fact remains that is a man who went from independent glory to working indies to doing a wonderful job with the independent promotions to getting bent over, taken it in the ass from guys like Cena and sports entertainers. It's not right. It's not fun either. And he knows that. Why should wrestling be a dirty word? Why? Why did I just spend years in the indies to come here and get job to Cena, or job to Orton, or job to these guys that aren't wrestlers? They aren't good at their craft. So it's sad, and it really is. You can't. And that whole, all of those promos mean something. That these are guys that have gone through different parts of their life and have seen that Vince McMahon's goal is to make money for himself, and it doesn't matter what he does. Because, all right, now I'm going to talk about Vince McMahon now, as I'm getting onto that. Vince McMahon is now a billionaire. Parents have sent him threats, badmouthed him, talked badly about him, the works. And for years, parents were frustrated. He's a genius for turning it around and saying, we're going to make it out for the kids and turn wrestling into a completely different thing. Make it sports entertainment. Make sure that these parents can come to the shows and see that, oh, there's no more chair shots, there's no more blood, there's no more anything. There's no more Hell in the Cell, there's no more nothing. There's no more works anymore, there's no more cursing, there's nothing. I am completely safe-proof in my bubble and nobody can pop it. And he's smart because he doesn't want to take the abuse from the parents anymore. He doesn't want to hear about how little Johnny jumped off his roof and broke his skull. He doesn't want to hear it. I wouldn't want to either. But the fact is that he had a good following of a teenage demographic, and he broke it for the sake of parents. When you want something bad enough, you don't let anybody stop in your way. And I guess Vince just doesn't want it anymore, but he has no reason to. Nobody's challenging him. TNA doesn't stand a chance. They're a garbage promotion that had a chance many years ago, and they failed. Ring of Honor, if they can get a better TV deal, well, then we can start doing some talking. But is wrestling a dirty word? Well, I guess so. But it doesn't make it right. Well, that's my shit. Angel624 signing out.